Hi, Dave again.
Oh, hi, Ruth. Sorry. Patty, I got a worksheet for tonight's public hearing, and I have 2 items left to fill in. I'll go home and do it, and I'll email it to you.
Promise?
Well, no, you may just have to yell at me to remind me, but that's my plan. How's that?
I like your plan, David. Good. Thank you.
I have let you down before, haven't I?
Never once, ever.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Forgetting my muting.
Hi, Seth. It's Ruth. Oh, he's muted.
I hope we have Marie tonight.
Yeah, we had her at the interview. She should be here anytime.
For folks that are just joining us, we've found it helpful that unless you're the Board of Selectmen, if you could shut your screen off, and then when your item comes up, you can turn your screen on. That's helpful for the viewers in the audience.
Hi, Matt, again.
And of course, Patty too.
How do I shut my screen off?
No,
You
I think
don't
she's
have,
saying for you to stay on, Patty,
right.
the board and you. Give Marie a couple seconds here.
We gotta get that lady to adjust her watch.
I'll text her. Now we lost Ruth. Expected to come on here tonight and have a bunch of you wearing your Tom Brady Tampa Bay number 12 jerseys.
Broncos did well this year.
I'm a New England fan, not.
He's a good quarterback. He might be 40 some years old, but he's still got it. Better than most.
Derek, can you check your messages?
Hey, Dave, just so you know, there are no registrants attendees for this evening's meeting that signed up via Zoom. Although typically we do have a couple press folks sign in as the meeting's underway.
Rod, this is Derek. Can you please send Marie another invite?
Will do.
Thank you.
And just so everyone knows, Marie, the invite that is sent to her Topsum email address, EOS. If that needs to change, please let me know. Thrilling television for those watching live on YouTube.
I literally have no talents to offer, so someone else will have to do something.
I'll see if Zoom has a music function that we can just play during downtimes.
Matt, are you a member of the Phantom of the Opera?
Jeez, I don't think,
I see a mask in back there
where,
or
what now?
something.
The other back.
Oh, up top. No, that's the little playhouse.
Okay. How deceiving was that?
I know, right? Like those magic eye books.
It was
I
that
know
or
my
someone
daughter-
looking through his window with a mask through. All right.
I was looking to see if there's anything fun in the tent right down here, but there's nothing cool to entertain anyone with, so.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll go live.
Marie sent me a message and asked me to ask Derek to send her an invite. And I told her somebody already did.
Yeah, I got that. And that's what-
I'm using another account right now, folks, so it may be a couple minutes.
We got to get that straightened out.
Heary.
Hi, Marie.
There we go. We are ready, Pam.
Going live and
I call this Topsum Board of Selectmen meeting to order January 7th, 2021, virtually. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with indivisible and liberty for all. Patty, would you call the roll, please?
David Douglas,
I am here.
Marie Brilliant,
Here.
Ruth Lyons,
Here.
Matt Nixon. Matt Nixon.
Here.
Roland Tufts.
Here.
Thank you, all present.
Thank you, Patty. Town managers report, please.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone. I only have 2 items to report tonight. One is just to keep you informed of the Elm Street Culvert Project, which we plan to begin next year upon town approval at town meeting. We would like to close the road on Elm Street during the construction because we have discovered there are 2 gas lines, water lines, and a sewer pipe that run through that area that the contractor will have to work around. But once we have the contract and specific dates, we'll, of course, bring the formal request to the board and we'll assure there's access to the Highlands facility during construction. This is important because otherwise they would have to, they could fill it in, make it passable, but because of these lines, they're going to have to keep it closed, to save time and money. And also, I talked to Lois Skillings this morning, president of Midcoast Health, and she'd like to be here on January 21st to give a COVID-19 vaccination plan update for the area. So I think we'll be well informed there, and they'll have a good presentation for us. Other than that, staff had a pretty good break, and I wish all of you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the manager? Seeing nothing. All right, we will move right on to boards and committee reports and updates. And as promised, Susan Ray Reeves said she would be seeing a lot of us. We have an update tonight from the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee. Susan, oh, there you are. You're muted.
Right, here I am. Nice to be with you all again so soon. And I have very little to say, except that one of the two major items that we'll be moving ahead with most quickly is about zoning, sort of a zoning review in the growth area. And that will take certainly some time to accomplish. It hasn't been, one of these has not been done for quite a long time. And I am not equipped to give you any of the details of that, but Rod is. So we will lean on our professional for that.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
I'll jump right in. Rod Melanson, Thompson Planning Office. Provided a memo. There were some things in there that probably need some editing a little bit, but happy to answer any questions in regard to this. This is really the major first step. Initially, the committee, the planning office, were thinking of very small incremental bites over a long period of time, but realized the better bang for our buck and to address, an enormous piece of this plan would be to dive right into something this substantial. That's our thinking. My guess is it really is about a 2-year process. Hopefully a little less, but given town meeting, it would be 2 years to get to a town meeting anyhow. And part of, what's not explicitly stated in this memo, really the coding that may be desired here, the form-based code, which you read the term Euclidean. What that means is use base, which is what zoning is based on when it all began. And it's moving from being so focused on uses and going to the form. And the form includes all of the things like street widths, sidewalk widths, lot widths, the dimensional requirements of lots, and then the forms of the buildings that are built over time. Our planning efforts for the comp plan, as you all are well aware of, have a very vision-based plan. So trying to align to some degree with that. I think part of the reason we're looking at a 2-year effort is to calibrate the comprehensive plan vision to more directly conform to what's existing in Topsom, and while transforming into a vision of what the future will bring for zoning and build out of the downtown. Part of the length, again, and I was about to say not explicitly stated in the memo, is that this is an educational piece for us all in town, the whole process, as well as the planners in town. We do not use form-based currently. It could end up that we end up with a hybrid form-based, meaning it's a mix of both. But at the end of the day, I do see that this is the opportunity to update something that really, the last significant update to the Topsom zoning really happened in the 1990s with the design guidelines that were input. And I kind of misstated that in the memo. I think the format of the zoning code came in the 80s. It was updated in the 90s to what we kind of really see now. And that's a long time. We really haven't, it's definitely a need that we've identified for quite some time. The first step to that was the comp plan and the visioning, but I'll stop talking. answer some questions.
Go ahead, Ruth.
Rod, have you looked at the old codes, the way they were, the old blue book and the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chapter 11, land
Yep.
use zoning. Yep.
Yep. Because that was in archives. I don't know if it still is, but that, when I became clerk, I moved it to a more professional way. We were doing it in-house and things would get missed, and it was a lot of work for one and a half people. So it's much more professional now. And I do believe it's been a long time and it does need updating.
Yeah, one thing, this does not throw out what we currently have. We're really not talking about changing any zoning regulations significantly or much at all within the residential districts. This is really a downtown planning effort for future commercial. I mean, a lot of traffic management's been discussed. The plan was very heavy on streets for people. But it really, so trying to just really, and perhaps some of the zoning standards that we have really might not, may be okay. But it's really the analysis of finding out what does work, what will work, and updating everything that we have here.
Rod, I got a question. So full disclosure, disclosure for the rest of the board. I did have some technical questions that I asked Rod earlier on this week, just out of pure planning curiosity. But I had a second one just pop up about neighborhoods, essentially. So if let's say we establish a certain neighborhood vision, how does that vision change in the future, say, like if there's pressure from within the neighborhood to change the form? Like, is there a process within for updating that vision, or is it tied to the comprehensive plan, or is it something that we propose as a town, like this is the process by which we want to update this neighborhood vision statement, something like that, or all
Yeah.
the above?
That's a good question. So in the past, what I have seen in Topsom, okay, the 2005 comprehensive plan went through multiple iterations of amendments to that plan to then enact the zoning that was associated with whatever those plans were. And you could call them neighborhood plans, the 196 corridor, the natural areas plan, the Main Street plan. These are, in a sense, quote unquote, neighborhood type of plans, meaning more focused planning efforts. But what they did was the reason you go through that process is to check in, okay, folks, we have some zoning regulations that we just spent a year talking about in the whole planning process. And then it takes another however much time to go to town meeting to ratify the recommendations of those planning processes and regulations. So depending on the scale, Matt, of the neighborhood vision change, I guess, it's either it's a minor change and it's a pretty quick process, or it's a major neighborhood vision change and should have a process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of these details are going to shake out in the RFP, but yeah, because I think a lot of these details you probably don't know yourself, but just,
yeah, no,
interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, in all honesty, visions do change as development occurs.
Right.
In the 1992 comprehensive plan, the word big box didn't exist. So if you can think about that, Topsom did not plan for big box stores, folks. The 1992 plan doesn't have, oh, hey, let's think about big boxes and where to put them. So that does happen. So you do need to recalibrate your planning quite a bit.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Rod, how do you envision this playing out once the RFP and you're working with the group from a work with, how often are you guys, doesn't change whether we approve this or not, but how often are you guys tied with them? Is it a weekly update or someone more planted here and working more hand in hand with you? How does that work?
I'm trying to understand the planning staff with the comp plan committee, or
No, more for the company, whoever we hire for the RFP. Is that someone that becomes, they're here with you multiple times? Or is it, we send them away with, this is what we have today. You come back with what we've given you as a vision.
Right. They'll have, I guess, what I see now in the way we're drafting up the RFP, which we will come back with a bit more of that detail. We meet next week to kind of step through that with the committee. There will be benchmarks and, here's the task. The consultant goes away and does the task, and that task could be, if it's an analytical, then they can do that in their offices. If it's a community engagement task, they better be here. So depending on the task and the timing in their schedule, like, the process, there could be a few months where they're going to be engaged with the committee every month. But will they be engaged with the general public? That will be borne out by what they propose for the public engagement process. And in this day and age, that's a very interesting question to see how that goes.
Right. My next question may be completely, may make me look like a fool, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Sometimes when it comes to any of the zoning and the ordinance, it's a list of wording. It's just words, and there's no way to interpret intent. Under changing any of this, is there the ability within the code to discuss intent on how we came to that so future can reference it? Maybe that's impossible and it has to be black and white, but it certainly would be more
well
user friendly.
You're hitting something very important, actually. And the little I do know about form-based, I don't know a ton about it. That's kind of one of the, so the current, sorry, Matt, Euclidean zoning we have is all words. Whereas the form-based one starts to get into, there's some math and there's some illustrations involved with form-based coding. And it's far less ambiguous to mince words over words. It's, here are the standards, and if there, and then typically there are workarounds to those standards and other processes involved if a proposal doesn't meet your zoning standard, like we have today. But it all comes back to the job that we do with this process to identify the particular zoning that goes into the particular area. For instance, Main Street versus 196. Those may have very different forms, and the reason being will be laid out based on the analysis that's occurred to get us to that point. And the community vision to that extent. In our current comp plan, I mean, it's as simple as we anticipate transformation in this area here. We anticipate protecting this area here instead of transforming it, and putting the rules in place to do that.
Okay. Any further for Rod? No. So Rod, this was an update. You and Susan come to give. You're going to bring us the RFP, and we'll approve it at a future meeting. Is that where we're going?
We were hoping to come back later this month.
Yep.
The committee meets next week. If they don't finalize it, then we won't come back. If they finalize it, then we'd try to get on to the next meeting.
Okay. So you weren't looking for action tonight out of it?
Well, no action, but really
you want to
just
feel that you're going down the right road, and we're
yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any objections to the committee and the planning department continuing down the road they're going? No.
I
Forth and
like the way
prosper.
it sounds.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I like the way it sounds, Rod. It seems simplified.
There you go. I think you're good to just continue to do as you guys are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Thank you,
guys.
Susan.
We are on to the most anticipated portion of the evening, correspondence. Also, if you are at home and have a question, and you want to call in, you can call 373-5090. And operators are standing by, and we will allow your public comment.
Hey, Dave,
Or, go ahead, Matt.
I wanted to read something if you don't mind, real quick.
Nope, go. Go.
Awesome. At the risk of calling, and I prepared this clearly, at the risk of calling more attention to the incident, I just wanted to apologize publicly for losing my cool during our last meeting. My reaction was unbecoming of an elected official. Mr. Abbott and I met up for a brew after the fact in the interim where we both apologized, discussed things civilly, and came up with some pretty cool ideas. This is an immensely stressful time for everyone, even my dogs. I will never be above apologizing when I'm wrong about something. I think it's fair to say that the board is currently looking at options for compromise regarding some of the GRC issues that were brought up recently, and we'll be coming back around to this soon. But I just wanted to get that out there because I felt pretty bad about it. But I also want to let folks know that in the interim, Mr. Abbott and I have had a pretty good discussion. Had a good time together, actually, at the having that beer. It was good stuff. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Matt. Don't feel bad. You're not the only one that's ever had to apologize at a Board of Selectmen meeting. Also, so call in correspondence. I know if individuals got any, but I know as a group, we did get a correspondence from Yvette Meunier. Yvette wrote that she was asking to have an agenda item added to the January 21st agenda to discuss the recycling reform extended producer responsibility for packaging bill that is currently working through the State House. We received that, and that's something that we currently have under consideration and are exploring to learn more about this bill. And so we did receive that, and it's an ongoing work. Any other correspondence anyone receive? No, nothing. I do not see any questions popping up from anybody, no attendees. So at this, we'll just keep moving through. Consent calendar, we'll move to that. Approval of the minutes of the regular selectmen meeting, December 17th, 2020. Make a motion that they're accepted as written.
Second.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oppose and abstaining. 401, Patty. Still no attendees, still no phone calls. We are moving on, folks. Everyone should be trained 9 months into this thing, I would think. We are going to public hearing, consideration any appropriate action on the application for a special amusement permit from Sea Dog Brewing Company. As we always do with our public hearings, we'll gavel it open. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak about, for, or against the item that we have within the public hearing is welcome to do so. Once I gavel the public hearing closed, all conversation at that point will take place between the Board of Selectmen and any questions they may have. So Mr. Hale, if you want to come up, you go ahead and come on into the screen, and I'm going to gavel this public hearing open. So there you are. Every time someone comes up, they move on the screen.
Hi, hello. Sorry, I haven't done a Zoom meeting in a while.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
So you've done these before with us, though.
Yes.
We'll go through as we normally do, although it's just differently because you now can be in your kitchen instead of up here at the podium. And so forth.
Not complaining.
No, I'm sure not. It's much easier, I'm sure. So we have your application before us, same as I think it's been.
Yes.
And I'm just going to go through a couple things that I have the normal question and answer check sheet that we go through.
Sure.
Sea Dog Brewing Company, 2 Bowden Mill Island. Your liquor license expires February 10th, 2021. You are asking for acoustical singing and karaoke, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah, we're anticipating at some point possibly we'll be able to do that again.
Right. And
Obviously-
that's why I do want to stress that we understand that this is this is good for the next year, and you're hoping to be able to do that. You're just asking for approval now. That's understandable.
exactly, yes.
You do this in the dining room, and you provided us a chart, as you always have, of where they are set up, usually near the end of the bar. It did say, nights of your entertainment, is it usually like Wednesday through Saturday? Is that what it's been in the past?
We've been doing a trivia on Tuesday. It's like the one thing we can do social distance wise. So that's been off and on. And then normal entertainment night would be Friday, Saturday, karaoke, and just a single or duo act, that sort of thing.
Okay, perfect.
Possibly an open mic on Wednesday.
All right. Hours of operation under normal conditions, 11 a.m. to as high as 1 a.m. or restricted by the orders by the governor.
Yes.
Furniture moved, as I have in the past. You have it at the end of the bar. Just a couple tables have to be shifted out of the way, sometimes to make room for the music. Lounge 60 by 50 roughly is kind of where we've guessed in the past.
Yes.
Seating capacity, that is something I did not keep from last year's notes.
I just looked at this. It's around 280, I believe. I
Alright.
think that might be including the deck, but obviously right now it's around
Yeah.
100.
Yeah, we'll treat, we're looking at this as normal conditions, and you just have to, what you have to follow when it comes
Yeah.
to the executive orders and such. Adequate parking, yes, and we do have letters from town departments, being police, fire, and codes, having no issues. Which you're here tonight, and I do want to say this. So I talk this stuff over with my kids. They always ask, what are you guys talking about tonight? And I was talking about that we have to do these amusement licenses. And I explained to them why, what we're looking at and why we do it. And I want to thank the businesses. We always have, it's Fairground Cafe, it's the Legion, and sometimes the Duck Pub if they're up and running. And I want to thank the businesses that we have, that we never run into issues with these you guys as businesses. Even if your fire comes through and they see something, it's addressed immediately, even before. So you're here tonight, and I want to get that to you guys and the other businesses. I certainly appreciate that.
Thank you.
We don't have problems, we go through this process in case there ever is, but this is my 10th year, and never have I heard of a problem from any of our businesses. And I thank all of you guys for making this easier.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I've done the checkbox here. Does anyone have questions of Seth as we go through? I don't see anyone from outside. Seeing nothing. I will close the public hearing then. Seth, is there anything you wanted to say or get out or anything?
No, I just appreciate what you just said. Thank you.
No problem. All right, I will close the public hearing. And I will move right into the conclusion and motion if the board's good with it. I don't see any objection. So conclusion, based on the findings, it is concluded that the issuance of a special amusement permit would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or would violate municipal ordinances, rules, or regulations. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Yes. So I will make the motion. I make a motion that the application for a special amusement permit for Sea Dog Brewing be granted as meeting requirements of Maine Revised Statutes, Title 25-A, Section 1054 in the Thompson Code, Chapter 71, Article 1, Section 6 and 7. Do I have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Patty, would you do the honors, please, for this? You're on mute.
Dave Douglas, how do you vote, for or against?
4.
Murray Brilliant,
4.
Ruth Lyons,
4.
Matt Nixon,
4.
and Roland Tufts.
4.
Well, now that I'm not muted, I want to tell you that it's passed unanimously.
Well, thank you, Patty. And I will be sure to get this to you tonight. Fingers crossed. We are moving on to consideration any appropriate action on the appointment of Chad Wigmore to the Finance Committee. We interviewed Chad this evening, and as all, we have a very qualified candidate, and without any questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we appoint Chad Wigmore to the Finance Committee.
Second,
We got a motion and a second. Patty, you're back on once you're unmuted.
Yes, sir. David Douglas, how do you vote? In
In favor.
favor or against?
In
David?
favor.
Bruce excuse me, Marie Brilliant,
In favor.
Bruce Lyons,
in favor.
Matt Nixon,
Favor.
and Roland Tubbs.
In favor.
Unanimously in favor.
Thank you, Patty. Final item of the evening, 21-03, consideration and any appropriate action on changes to the personnel policy. I believe Assistant Town Manager Mark Waltz will be taking us through.
You believe correctly. Well, good evening, everyone. So Maine's new earned paid leave law requires that every employee accrue earned paid leave that could be used for any purpose at a rate of at least 1 hour for every 40 hours worked. All of our full-time employees or our part-times that already have benefits, their time exceeds that. So you're able to designate the time that they're already accruing as classifying as earned paid leave. So we don't need to do anything different for our employees that were already getting time. But we have people like per diem firefighters or folks that maybe work for the rec department for 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon to ref games or something that are not currently getting any type of leave. So those we now have to provide this to. So the amendments to our personnel ordinance allow them to accrue leave at the rate of what the law requires. 1 hour for every 40 worked, capped at 40 hours in a particular year. And we could have used a longer period you could actually insist they require at least 4-week notice of use. But the place that would be, say, the biggest hardship to have it used is the fire department. And the fire chief said that if he had 5 days written notice, that's more than enough time for him to deal with the scheduling issues he might have. So that's why we use 5 days for that in there. But with that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mark, when we're talking fire department, we're talking the per diem, or is this the on-call personnel? Is
Anyone that gets paid hourly by us.
so that's so that's on-call personnel and everything, right? Because they
Right.
do an hourly rate when they show. How do they go about using it? They, in a week in advance, say, I want to take Thursday through Saturday off, and if the fire department goes out 30 hours that weekend, they get 30 hours of pay. How does that work?
I think it's only people that are actually working. So it would be the per diem employees. So if you're paid just for being on call, but don't actually have to work at I guess the most honest answer is I'll have to check into that.
Okay, good. Because I don't know how you,
Good question,
I'm
Dave.
just picturing an on-call person saying, I don't want to respond between Wednesday and Sunday, and the fire department ends up with 20 hours worth of calls. Are they just paid for it? I don't know.
It talks about hours worked as I look at the statute. So I don't think being on call, it would classify as an hour actually worked. Because you're just
No,
basically.
but they probably gain 40 hours over their quarter where they are making that hourly rate, you know. Each call you show up to this fire station, you get an hour's worth of pay.
Yeah.
So we just want to figure that out. It doesn't change, doing this or whatever. My other question, you had talked about the rec employees, 3 hours doing soccer games. I think the majority of our rec department, we do have some, but a lot of it is done by students, right? If we were to take those and go to student wages for those individuals who are reffing a soccer game, being under student wages, are they still entitled to this benefit?
Yes.
Oh, so a 15-year-old kid reffing a Saturday soccer game can have paid time off.
Yeah, it's gonna take them a long time to get there because you only get it at the rate of 1 hour for every 40. But yes,
Yep.
they will have. Our new computer system is able to accrue it, so they'll be getting a little tiny amount accrued with each paycheck.
All right, that's the questions I had. Go ahead, Ruth.
I just, it's more of a statement, Mark, and part of a question. We're taxed at times because we have a lot of employees that have the most vacation and they get other times. How is that going to tax our workforce? Not in the word of tax and money, but
Probably the place we were most worried about it taxing them is again with the per diem firefighters.
okay.
Because they can actually, they'll accumulate a fair amount of hours because some of them actually work more hours in a week than our full-time firefighters.
Okay.
So they might be earning an hour or so a week or maybe more for some of the per diem firefighters. So we talked to the fire chief and we said, let's say he schedules someone for 3 weeks out and they say, I now want to take 3 hours of that off. He's gonna have to find someone to cover that. But he said, I think, I can do it with that amount of notice. So we'll be bringing in another per diem firefighter for the 3 hours that they're taking off or something.
Yeah, you answered one question.
Go ahead, Roland.
Excuse me. So we don't need to make any system changes to make this work or put it into place, right?
No, and again, it's an advantage of our new system. Brandy's told us that Trio would have had trouble tracking this, but Munis is able to track the earned paid leave, so the accounting part will be relatively easy. And then we'll just use current procedures and forms to request the time off.
And then all the employees, including the rec workers, are they all paid W-2 or are some of them 1099?
I believe they're all W-2.
Yeah, I was just curious. If you had
Maybe
1099,
Garrett
I wasn't sure how that would work.
Maybe
It's still
Derek can correct me if-
We're still looking at it. There is an exclusion for seasonal employees where they wouldn't be included, but we'll hash that out. Right now the law came into effect, started January 1st. So we just have to address it in our personnel policy right now. We're taking a look at it right now as we develop the budget. For instance, we may have election workers or firefighters who, frankly, it's just not working out with scheduling. So we're just preparing in the event that we got to do a payout to make sure we have coverage.
Okay, great, thanks.
I
If
thought,
someone's a 1099 employee, though, we don't have to give them this benefit. It's their employer that would have to.
Well, that's what I was wondering. So I just want to make
Yeah.
sure we were good on that.
I thought election workers were 1099 and some rec. I thought that's how they were treated, but I'm not sure about that. Do you know, Mark?
Pam was nodding. Maybe if Pam comes back to us, she can address at least the rec workers.
All of our employees are payroll. They aren't stipend. The only ones that would be stipend or 1099 are those certified referees. Now, we changed that about 3 years ago because of state mandates.
I thought there was some. Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, and a lot of that, just to say for your familiarization, is because of workers' comp. And them having to be our employees.
Excellent. Any other questions? Seeing none. So let me find. Of course, I move papers everywhere. I will make a motion that we approve the changes in the personnel policy in regards to Maine's earned paid leave law as they are presented to us. Do I have a second?
Second.
We got motions and seconds. Patty, would you call the roll on this, please?
David Douglas,
In favor.
Marie Brilliant,
In favor?
Ruth Lyons,
In favor.
Matt Nixon,
Favor.
and Roland Tufts.
In favor.
Unanimously in favor.
Excellent. Thank you, folks. That brings us to the most
Yay.
anticipated motion to adjourn. Thank you, Matthew. All those in favor? Aye.
I think we had a second, did we?
Huh?
Was there a second?
Oh, of
Thought
course.
you-
There was
No.
5. There were
Okay, very good.
Folks, we'll see you in a couple weeks.